Secretary hires a man to accompany her to a wedding, but he was her boss's son. Emily Parker never imagined that a decision made out of desperation could change her life so unexpectedly. At 32, tired of her family's pitying looks every time she showed up alone to events, she decided to do something she never thought she'd do. That's when she downloaded that discreet app her co-worker had secretly mentioned. With trembling hands, she hired a professional escort for her cousin Jessica's wedding, which would take place the following Saturday in New York. "I need you to be perfect," she said, over the phone to the man she'd chosen. "My family can't suspect a thing. Don't worry, Emily, I've got experience with these kinds of events. I'll arrive at the venue at 5. What will you be wearing?" "A light pink dress, curly hair pinned to the side," she replied, her heart racing. "Perfect." "My name's Michael, but you can call me Mike in front of your family. We'll say we've been dating for 6 months, all right?" Emily confirmed the details and hung up, a mix of relief and nerves washing over her. She'd worked as an executive secretary for 8 years at Mr. Robert Williams's construction company, a strict but fair man who always respected her work. What she didn't know was that her professional life was about to collide with her personal charade in a way she could never have imagined. On Saturday, she arrived at the venue an hour early, double-checking every detail of her look. The light pink dress draped perfectly over her figure, and she'd taken extra care to style her curly hair elegantly. Her palms were sweaty as she waited for Michael to show up. At exactly 5, a tall, well-dressed man walked in. Emily recognized the dark suit and confident posture he'd described. But when he approached and she saw his face up close, her legs nearly gave out. Those brown eyes, that charming smile, that self-assured stride. "You must be Emily," he said, extending his hand with a smile. "Michael?" she asked, still in shock. "That's right. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Traffic was terrible." Emily nodded, trying to collect herself. That face was far too familiar. She saw that same smile every day in the photos decorating her boss's desk. Michael looked identical to Michael Williams, Mr. Robert's son, whom she constantly heard about in the office. "Everything all right?" he asked, noticing her stunned expression. Yes, it's just that you're exactly how I pictured," she lied, forcing a smile. Michael offered his arm, and they walked into the main hall together, where the ceremony was about to begin. Emily's family turned to look, and she felt every curious gaze. Her mother, Mrs. Barbara, waved excitedly from the front row. "He's gorgeous, honey," Aunt Susan whispered as they sat down. "Where did you two meet again?" At work," Emily replied, struggling to keep her voice steady. Michael held her hand naturally, playing the role of a smitten boyfriend flawlessly. Throughout the ceremony, he whispered sweet comments in her ear, making their act utterly convincing to anyone watching. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us newcomers a lot. Now back to the story. When the couple exchanged vows, Michael squeezed Emily's hand tighter, as if moved by the ceremony. She glanced at him sideways and realized he genuinely seemed touched by the couple's declaration of love. There was something real in his expression that made her wonder if this was all just an act. "So beautiful, isn't it?" he whispered in her ear. "Yes, it is," she replied, feeling a shiver run down her spine. After the ceremony, they headed to the cocktail reception. Cousin Jessica, radiant in her wedding dress, approached them with a curious smile. Aren't you going to introduce me to this prince?" she said, winking mischievously. "Jessica, this is Michael, my boyfriend. Mike, this is my cousin Jessica, the bride." "It's a pleasure, Jessica. Congratulations on your wedding. You look stunning," said Michael, kissing the bride's hand with elegance. "Wow, such manners. Emily, where did you find this treasure?" Jessica laughed. "Oh, it was fate," Emily replied, feeling her face grow warm. "You two make a beautiful couple. I hope you're next, huh?" the bride teased before being called by the photographer. Emily felt her stomach flip. How would she explain this to her family when the charade ended? Michael seemed to notice her discomfort and gently squeezed her waist. "Relax, it's okay," he whispered. Mrs. Barbara approached them carrying 2 glasses of champagne. "My dear, what was your name again?" she asked, handing them the drinks. "Michael, Mrs. Barbara. Michael Williams." Emily nearly dropped her glass. "Williams. He really was her boss's son. Her mind raced, trying to understand how the son of Mr. Robert, a man from a wealthy, traditional family, was working as an escort. Williams! What a lovely name. And what do you do, dear? Mrs. Barbara continued, clearly charmed. I'm in healthcare, ma'am. Studying medicine, Michael replied without hesitation. Emily remembered Mr. Robert's constant remarks about his rebellious son, who insisted on studying medicine against his wishes. It was all starting to make sense. Medicine, how wonderful, Mrs. Barbara exclaimed. Emily, you didn't tell me your boyfriend was a doctor. I'm still studying, Mrs. Barbara. I have 2 years left to graduate, Michael clarified humbly. Still, how proud you must be, Emily's mother said, beaming. Uncle Richard, Emily's father's brother, joined the group with a beer in hand. So, young man, what do you think of the Yankees this year? He asked, clearly testing Michael. Well, Uncle Richard, I'm more of a Mets fan, but I have a lot of respect for the Yankees, a team with a lot of history. A Mets fan? Richard made a mock disgusted face. Well, at least you're not a Red Sox fan, he laughed, patting Michael on the back. Emily watched silently, amazed at how easily Michael was winning over her family. He seemed genuinely engaged in the conversations, not like someone just doing a job. Aunt Susan, always the gossip, pulled Emily aside. That boy looks familiar, you know. I swear I've seen him somewhere. Emily's heart raced. Oh, Auntie, everyone looks like someone, right? She tried to deflect. Yeah, maybe, but I swear I know that face from somewhere, Susan insisted, glancing toward Michael. Emily needed to steer her aunt away before she remembered where she'd seen him. After all, Mr. Robert's company was well known in the area, and Michael had appeared in some local newspaper articles when he won a swimming competition in college. Auntie, let's grab some appetizers. I'm starving, Emily said, pulling Susan toward the buffet. Go ahead, dear. I just want to say hello to your boyfriend first. Before Emily could stop her, Susan walked up to Michael, who was chatting animatedly with cousin Kevin. Michael, dear, your face is so familiar. Have you been in the newspaper? Susan asked bluntly. Michael stayed calm, but Emily saw a flicker of worry in his eyes. Oh, maybe, Mrs. Susan. Sometimes I'm in college articles, you know how it is, he replied naturally. That must be it. Don't you study at NYU? Susan continued. Yes, Mom. I knew it. You won that swimming competition, didn't you? My neighbor showed me the newspaper. Emily felt the world spin. If Aunt Susan had seen Michael in the paper, it was only a matter of time before someone else made the connection to Mr. Robert's company. You have an incredible memory, Michael said, smiling. But let's talk about something more interesting. Emily told me you make the best brigadeiros in the family. The distraction worked, and Susan started talking about her recipes. Emily took the chance to pull Michael onto the dance floor. We need to talk, she whispered in his ear. Not here. Let's dance and pretend everything's normal, he replied, placing his hands on her waist. They swayed to a slow song, and Emily felt strange, realizing how natural it was to be in his arms. Michael danced well, polished, charming, and attentive. None of it felt forced or fake. Are you really Michael Williams, my boss's son? She whispered during the song. I am, he answered without stopping. And you work for my father? I've been his executive secretary for 8 years. What a mess, Michael murmured. Why do you do this? Your father has money, you don't need... It's a long story, he cut in. I'll explain later. The song ended and they were interrupted by cousin Kevin, who'd had a bit too much to drink. Man, you gotta give me some gym tips. What's your secret? Kevin said, slapping Michael's arm. Swimming, bro. Want to start? I can take you to the college pool, Michael offered. Seriously, dude, you're too good, Emily. Where'd you find this guy? Kevin laughed. Fate brought us together, she replied, forcing a smile. Mrs. Barbara approached them again, this time with Grandma Dorothy, a sharp-eyed 78-year-old who was the center of all family decisions. Grandma, this is Michael, Emily's boyfriend, Mrs. Barbara introduced. Grandma Dorothy looked Michael up and down. Young man, you remind me of someone. What's your family name? Michael took a deep breath before answering. I'm Robert Williams's son, ma'am, from Williams & Sons Construction. Emily's legs nearly gave out. He'd told the truth. Grandma Dorothy's eyes widened. Robert Williams? That businessman always in the papers? The same, Grandma, Michael confirmed. "Oh my goodness," Mrs. Barber exclaimed. "Emily, you're dating a millionaire's son and didn't tell me." "Mom, money isn't everything," Emily said, feeling cornered. "Of course not, honey, but what a coincidence. You work for his father," Mrs. Barbara gushed. Grandma Dorothy kept studying Michael. "Aren't you the boy who fought with your father over college?" Michael visibly tensed. "You read the papers very well," he said, trying to stay light. "I saw an article. Your father wanted you to take over the company, but you wanted to be a doctor. Is that right?" Grandma pressed. "Well, more or less, Mrs. Dorothy." Emily noticed Michael growing uneasy. Things were spiraling. "Grandma, let's let Michael eat something. He barely touched his food," Emily intervened. "You're right, dear. Go on, enjoy the party," Grandma said, though her curious gaze lingered on Michael. They headed to the buffet, finally finding a moment of quiet. "Your family's very warm," Michael remarked, filling his plate with appetizers. "They are, but they're also nosy. And Grandma has an elephant's memory," Emily fretted. "I noticed. Does she really read the papers?" "Every day, cover to cover, and she never forgets a face or name." Michael sighed. "Emily, I need you to know that I don't usually do this kind of work. This was, let's say, my third time." "Why? What made you do it?" "My father cut me off when I decided to continue with medicine instead of taking over the company. I need to pay for school and support myself." Emily felt a pang in her chest. She knew all too well about Mr. Roberts' stubbornness. He really did that. He did. Said if I wanted to be a doctor, I had to figure it out on my own. I work part-time at a hospital, but it's not enough to cover all my expenses. That's a tough situation. Yeah, but I don't regret it. Medicine has been my passion since I was a kid. They were interrupted by the arrival of her cousin Jessica, who came with her husband, Jason. Jason wants to meet your boyfriend. I told him he's in healthcare," Jessica said. "Michael, this is Jason, Jessica's husband." "Jason, Michael," Emily introduced them. "Nice to meet you, Michael. Jessica told me you're a doctor," Jason said, shaking Michael's hand. "Still a student, but almost done," Michael corrected. "What specialty are you thinking of?" "Cardiology. I've always been fascinated by the heart," Michael replied, and Emily heard sincerity in his voice. "That's great. My dad had a heart attack last year. Thank God he pulled through, but I've gained a lot of respect for cardiologists. I'm glad your father recovered. It's a delicate field, but very rewarding." Jason chatted with Michael for a few more minutes about medicine, and Emily was impressed by how knowledgeable he sounded. There was nothing fake about it. Michael really knew his stuff. "Man, you really know what you're talking about. Congrats on your choice," Jason said before walking away. "You really love medicine, don't you?" Emily asked when they were alone. "I do. It's my life. That's why I won't take over my father's company." At that moment, Emily didn't see Michael as the escort she'd hired, but as the determined young man standing up to his father to follow his dreams. There was something admirable about that. The party continued, and they had to take part in several typical wedding games. During musical chairs, Michael showed off a great sense of humor, making Emily's whole family laugh. When it was time to toss the bouquet, her cousins pushed her forward, and she ended up catching the flowers to enthusiastic applause. "Next wedding will be yours," someone from the family shouted. Michael hugged her and whispered in her ear, "You're red as a tomato." "Shut up," she replied, but she was smiling. Around 10 at night, Mrs. Barbara approached them. "Michael, dear, how about coming over for dinner on Sunday? I'd love to make my special lasagna for you." Emily panicked. How was she going to explain that Michael couldn't come? "Mrs. Barbara, that's so kind of you, but what?" Mrs. Barbara interrupted. "You've been dating for 6 months, and I still haven't had a chance to cook for you properly." "Mom, maybe Michael has other plans," Emily tried. "What plans?" "It's Sunday, sweetheart. Family day." Michael glanced at Emily, sensing her distress. "Mrs. Barbara, I'd love to, but I have a hospital shift on Sunday," he lied. "A shift? But you're still a student," Mrs. Barbara said, confused. "I'm doing a paid internship, Mom. I have to work to pay for school." "Oh, I see. Such a hard-working young man. Then how about next Sunday?" "Of course, Mrs. Barbara. It'd be my pleasure." Emily looked at Michael gratefully. He'd saved the situation once again. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out as we're just starting. Now, back to the story. Around 11, the party started winding down. Emily and Michael said goodbye to the family, receiving warm hugs and invitations for future gatherings. When they finally left the venue, Emily felt an enormous relief, but also a strange melancholy. "Thank you," she said when they reached the parking lot. "How you were perfect. Your family is special, Emily. They're good-hearted people. They really are. Sorry if it was exhausting." "It wasn't. Actually, Michael hesitated. "It's been a long time since I've felt so welcomed." There was something in his voice that touched Emily deeply. "Your family isn't affectionate. My father is very strict. My mother passed away when I was 15. Since then, it's just been him and me and, well, you know how he is." Emily knew all too well. Mr. Robert was a man dedicated to his work, who rarely showed affection. She'd never thought about how that might affect his son. "I'm so sorry about your mother." "Thank you. She would have supported me in medicine, I'm sure of that." They fell silent for a few seconds. Emily realized she didn't want the night to end. "Michael, about the payment." "Don't worry about that now. We can sort it out later." "Okay. Do you want to get coffee?" "I know a place that's open late." Michael looked at her, surprised. "Are you sure?" "I am. After tonight, I think we owe each other an honest conversation." They went to a 24-hour cafe near the venue. It was a simple but cozy place. They sat at a corner table, away from other customers. "So," Emily began, "how did you start doing this kind of work?" Michael stirred the sugar in his coffee before answering. "A college friend recommended it, said it was a quick way to make money. The first time was 3 months ago. I accompanied a lady to her grandson's graduation dinner. And it wasn't awkward. It was, but she was really sweet, a widow for 5 years. She just didn't want to go alone. It was more like keeping company for a kind grandma." "And the second time?" "A woman in her early 40s who needed a +1 for her ex-co-worker's wedding. She wanted to show she was doing fine after her divorce. And I'm the third." "Yeah, and definitely the most complicated," Michael laughed. "Why complicated?" "Because you work for my father, because your family is amazing, and because..." He stopped. "Because what?" "Because I wasn't expecting to like you this much." Emily felt her heart race. "Michael, I know it's weird. I know it started as a job, but tonight was different. For me too." They looked at each other in silence, both aware something had shifted between them. "What do we do now?" Emily asked. "I don't know. On Monday you'll be at the office, and I'll have to keep pretending I don't know you when I visit my dad." "You visit your dad?" "Rarely, but sometimes he calls me there to try convincing me to change my mind about medicine." Emily thought of all the times she'd seen Mr. Robert frustrated after those conversations with his son. "He suffers because of this fight between you two." "So do I, but I can't give up my dreams just to please him." "I understand, and I admire your courage." "You think I'm brave?" Michael asked, surprised. "Very. Standing up to someone as powerful as your father isn't easy. Sometimes I feel like a coward, doing this kind of work, lying to everyone. You're paying for your education honestly. You're not hurting anyone. If anything, you're helping people like me. That's an interesting way to see it." They talked until almost 2 in the morning. Emily learned that Michael loved classical music, had a cat named Mozart, had swum competitively since childhood, and dreamed of working with children with heart conditions. Michael discovered that Emily had always wanted to be a teacher, but ended up in administration for financial reasons, that she cared for her diabetic mother, and that she played guitar in her free time. "You should go back to school," Michael said. "It's never too late to become a teacher." "At 32 years old, with all the responsibilities I have?" "My mother went back to school at 35. She studied psychology. She used to say life only begins when we find our true passion. She seemed like a wise person." "She was. I'm sure you two would have gotten along really well. When they finally said goodbye, both knew something fundamental had changed. Michael insisted on paying for the coffee, and Emily let him walk her to her car. Emily, about the payment for today. Michael, that was the agreement. You held up your end. I don't want your money. What do you mean? Tonight meant more to me than any amount. I can't accept payment for something that was special. Emily was speechless. Michael, but it was a deal. It was, but not anymore. Tonight was real for me, and I hope it was for you too. It was. Then can I call you? Not as a client hiring a service, but as Michael? I'd really like that. They shared a long hug, and Emily felt like she was living the beginning of something that could be very important. On Sunday, Emily woke up with a strange feeling. The night before seemed like a dream. Had she really connected with her boss's son, with a guy she'd met through an escort app? Her mother called early. Sweetheart, I'm still enchanted by your boyfriend. What a polite young man, and handsome, and a doctor. Mom, and your boss's son. What an incredible coincidence. It must be fate, Emily. Mom, let's not rush things. It's all very new. New? You've been together for 6 months. Emily remembered the lie they'd created and felt a knot in her stomach. Yeah, but you know how it is. We're just getting to know each other better now. Of course, dear, but I'm making lasagna for him next Sunday. No excuses. After hanging up, Emily kept thinking about the situation she'd gotten herself into. How would she explain it to her family when things with Michael ended? And would he really call? Her answer came in the early afternoon. The phone rang, and she saw Michael's name on the screen. Hi, she said, trying to contain her nervousness. Hi, how are you? Confused. Me too. Do you regret last night? No. Do you? Not at all. In fact, I can't stop thinking about you. Emily felt a smile forming on her lips. Michael, we need to talk about a few things. I know. How about we meet today? We could go to a park, talk calmly. Good idea. They met at Central Park at 4 in the afternoon. Michael was in jeans and a t-shirt, very different from the elegant man of the night before, but just as attractive. They walked along the paths talking about their lives, their fears and their hopes. Emily, I need to tell you something, Michael said, when they sat on a bench near the lake. What is it? Yesterday, when your grandmother asked those questions about my fight with my father, it made me think a lot. About what? About how my stubbornness might be hurting him. Not that I'll give up medicine, but maybe we can find a way to understand each other better. That would be good for both of you. You know my father better than I do. What's he like at work? Emily thought carefully before answering. He's strict but fair, demanding, but he recognizes people's worth. And, she hesitated, and what? Sometimes I see sadness in his eyes, especially when someone mentions family. Michael was silent for a few minutes. My mother was the link between us. After she was gone, we just couldn't communicate properly anymore. You're both suffering because of it. Yeah, maybe it's time we had a real conversation. I think so. They stayed in the park until sunset, talking about everything and nothing. Emily realized she was falling for Michael, not the charming guy from the wedding, but the real man she was getting to know now. Michael, what if things between us work out? How will we handle your father? I don't know. But I know I don't want to lose what's growing between us because of complications. Me neither. So should we face the problems as they come? Let's do that. In the late afternoon, Michael walked her to her car again. Emily, can I ask you something? Of course. Don't treat me differently on Monday. If we run into each other at the office, act like you always have. Why? Because if my father notices something between us, it could complicate things for you at work. And I don't want you to suffer because of me. Emily was touched by his concern. Thank you, but what if he finds out somehow? Let's hope that doesn't happen. At least not yet. On Monday, Emily arrived at the office with a mix of anxiety and excitement. It would be strange seeing Mr. Robert, knowing she'd spent the weekend getting to know his son. She tried to act normal but was more nervous than usual. "Good morning, Mr. Robert," she greeted him while handing over the morning reports. "Good morning, Emily. Are you okay? You seem a little on edge." "I'm fine, just a bit tired. My cousin's wedding was on Saturday." "Oh, right. You'd asked for the day off. Was it nice?" "Yes, very beautiful." "That's good. You should go out more, have fun. I always see you here working late. I just enjoy my work." "I know, and I'm grateful for that, but personal life matters too. If only he knew how complicated her personal life had become." Around 11 in the morning, Emily was organizing files when she heard raised voices coming from Mr. Roberts' office. One of them was all too familiar. "Dad, I told you I won't change my mind." It was Michael. Emily's heart raced. "Michael, you're being stubborn. The company needs you. The company has capable employees. You always say you have the best team in the city. But you're my son, my heir. I'm your son, but that doesn't mean I have to follow the path you chose for me." Emily knew she shouldn't eavesdrop, but she couldn't focus on anything else. The argument went on for a few more minutes until she heard the office door slam open. Michael stormed out, visibly upset. As he passed Emily's desk, their eyes met for a split second. She saw frustration and sadness in his gaze, but he kept walking without a word. Mr. Robert left the office a few minutes later, his expression tense. "Emily, cancel my afternoon appointments. I need to leave." "Yes, sir. Is everything okay?" "It's fine. Just family matters." After Mr. Robert left, Emily couldn't stop thinking about the argument she'd overheard. She saw both sides, the father who wanted his son in the family business and the son who wanted to follow his own dreams. Later that afternoon, her phone rang. It was Michael. "Hi, sorry to call during work hours. I know you're probably still at the office." "I am. Your father left after your talk." "I figured. Just another pointless fight." "You're both hurting over this." "I know, and I don't know how to make him understand. Michael, can I suggest something?" "Sure. What if you showed him how much medicine means to you? Take him to the hospital where you're interning. Let him see you at work. You think that would work?" "It's worth a try. Sometimes people need to see to understand." "That's a good idea. I'll think about it." "And Michael?" "Yeah? You're both good people. I'm sure you'll find a way to understand each other." "Thank you. That means a lot coming from you." That evening, Emily had dinner with her mother, who wouldn't stop talking about Michael. "Sweetheart, when are you bringing him over? I want to show him your childhood photos." "Mom, please. And when are you two getting married? In my day, 6 months of dating meant you were engaged." "Mom, things have changed. Nowadays, people get to know each other better before marrying." "But you already know each other. You work for the same family." Emily realized she was getting more tangled in the lie she'd created. How would she explain it to her mother if things didn't work out with Michael? On Tuesday, Michael showed up at the office again. This time, his conversation with his father was calmer, but Emily noticed they still hadn't reached an agreement. "Dad, I'd like to invite you somewhere," Michael said as he was leaving the room. "What kind of invitation?" Mr. Robert asked suspiciously. "Come with me to the hospital on Thursday. I want to show you my work." Mr. Robert fell silent for a few seconds. "Why?" "Because maybe you'll understand my passion for medicine better if you see where and how I work." "Michael, Dad, just a few hours. What do you say?" "All right. Thursday morning." "Great. I'll pick you up at 8. After Michael left, Emily noticed Mr. Robert seemed more thoughtful than usual. Maybe the idea of seeing his son's work had really made him reflect. On Wednesday, Michael called Emily after work. "How was your day? Did my father say anything about tomorrow? He's a little nervous, I'd say. He asked what clothes would be appropriate for a hospital." "Is that a good sign?" "I think so. He's taking it seriously." "Emily, I wanted to thank you for the suggestion. I wouldn't have thought of it myself. I just want you two to reconcile. It's painful seeing two people who love each other fight like this. Do you think my father loves me?" "I'm sure of it. He talks about you more than you realize. Even when he's angry, there's always pride in his voice." "I never noticed that. Sometimes love shows itself in ways we don't recognize right away." On Thursday, Emily arrived early at the office. Mr. Robert was visibly nervous, adjusting his tie repeatedly. "Emily, is this outfit appropriate for a hospital?" "It's perfect, Mr. Robert. You look elegant but not too formal." "What if I faint at the sight of blood?" Emily laughed. "You'll be fine, and I'm sure you'll be very proud of Michael." "You think so?" "I do. He's an exceptional young man." For a moment, Emily forgot she was talking about her boss's son and not the man she was falling for. Michael arrived promptly at 8 in the morning. Emily saw him briefly talking to his father in the parking lot before they left together. The day passed slowly for Emily. She was curious about how the visit between father and son would go at the hospital. Around 5 in the afternoon, Mr. Robert returned to the office. His expression was different, more serene, thoughtful. "How was it, Mr. Robert?" Emily asked. "It was enlightening. Did you like the hospital?" "Emily, I saw my son save a 5-year-old child's life." "What do you mean?" "A little girl came in with cardiac arrest. Michael was the first to attend to her. I saw him perform CPR, administer medication, coordinate the team." Mr. Robert's voice cracked. "And is she okay?" "She is, thanks to Michael and the medical team." When the child's mother thanked my son, crying and kissing his hands, he paused to compose himself. "That must have been emotional." "It was, and I realized I can't take this away from him. I can't force my son to abandon something that makes him capable of saving lives." Emily felt her eyes well up. "So you'll support his medical career?" "I will, and more than that. I'll pay for the rest of his schooling and give him all the support he needs to become the best cardiologist in the country." "He must be so happy." "He is. We had lunch together after the hospital. We talked like we haven't in years." "That's wonderful, Mr. Robert." "Emily, can I ask you a personal question?" Emily's heart raced. "Of course. Do you have a boyfriend?" Why do you ask?" "Because I'd like to introduce you to Michael. I think you two would hit it off." Emily felt the world spin. Mr. Robert wanted to introduce her to his own son, unaware they already knew each other. "Mr. Robert, that's very kind, but think about it. You're the same age, both serious, hard-working people. And you understand healthcare, right? You always show interest when I talk about medicine. It's just, No rush, Emily, but I'd really like you two to meet." Emily left the office in shock. How could she explain to Mr. Robert that she already knew Michael? And how could she explain they'd met through an escort app? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now, continuing. That night, Michael called her earlier than usual. "Emily, you won't believe the day I've had." "Oh, I think I do. Your father told me everything." "He did? What did he say?" "That he saw you saving a child's life, and that he finally understands your passion for medicine." "It was incredible. After years of fighting, we finally had a real father-son talk. I'm so happy for you both. Emily, you suggested this. If it weren't for you, we might never have reconciled. You reconciled on your own. I just gave a little nudge. A nudge that changed everything. How can I thank you? Seeing you happy is enough." "Emily, my father wants to introduce me to someone." "What do you mean?" "A woman who works with him. Said she's special, has been with the company for years, is smart and understanding." Emily's stomach twisted. "What did you say?" "That I'm already interested in someone." "Did you tell him about me?" "Not yet, but I'll have to soon. He's really excited about playing matchmaker." "Michael, we have a problem." "What problem?" "The woman your father wants to introduce you to is me." Silence on the other end. "What?" "He asked if I had a boyfriend. Said he'd like to introduce us." "You're joking." "I'm not. He thinks we'd get along, that we're the same age, serious people." "Oh God, what a mess." "Yeah. So now what?" "I don't know. How do we explain we already know each other? Especially how we met?" They fell silent, both processing the complication. "Michael, your father can't know about the app. It would ruin the image he has of you. And of you too. Would he still respect you?" "Exactly. We need to come up with a story." "What kind of story?" "I don't know. We have to make it seem natural." "Emily, what if we said we met at your cousin's wedding?" How? You were there alone, I was there alone, we met at the reception. But how would you be at my cousin's wedding? I could be friends with someone from the groom's family, or maybe I went to the wrong party and ended up staying. That's too convoluted. Yeah, got a better idea? Emily thought for a few minutes. Michael, what if we said we met at a cafe? You were studying, I was reading, we struck up a conversation. That could work. But when? 2 weeks ago, before my cousin's wedding. And why didn't we tell my father sooner? Because we were still getting to know each other. You know how protective he is. We wanted to be sure before involving family. Makes sense, and it explains why you haven't introduced me to your family yet. Exactly. We can say now feels like the right time. Emily, do you think this could work? I don't know, but it's better than the truth. For now, at least. Michael, there's one thing that worries me. What? My family already knows you. They know you went to the wedding with me. That's true. How are we going to explain this? We can say we met at the cafe, went out a few times, and when my cousin's wedding came around, you came with me. That means in our version, we've only been together for 2 weeks, not 6 months. Yeah, we'll have to change the story for my family too. This is going to be complicated. Very. But it's the only way. They spent another hour trying to align the details of the new version. It was risky, but it seemed like the only option they had. On Friday, Mr. Robert was more excited than Emily had ever seen him. Emily, I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday. How about we have lunch together on Monday? You, me, and Michael. Mr. Robert, I know it might seem sudden, but I have a feeling about you two. And yesterday, talking to Michael, I realized he's in the phase of meeting new people. Actually, Mr. Robert, I need to tell you something. What is it? I already know Michael. Mr. Robert's eyes widened. What do you mean? We met 2 weeks ago, at a cafe near the hospital. He was studying, I was reading. And you talked? Yes. We realized we had a lot in common. We went out a few times. Emily, why didn't you tell me? Because we wanted to be sure before involving the family. You know how delicate these things can be. Mr. Robert fell silent for a few seconds, processing the information. And you two are getting along? We are. What an incredible coincidence. Me wanting to introduce you, and you already knew each other. It really is a coincidence. Emily, then Monday's lunch is a celebration. I'm so happy. Mr. Robert, maybe it's better not to make a big deal out of it yet. It's still very new. Of course, but let an old man be happy. It's been a while since I've had a reason to celebrate like this. Emily smiled, realizing Mr. Robert was genuinely happy at the prospect of seeing his son and her together. Over the weekend, Michael and Emily met to finalize their version of the story. They also took the time to get to know each other better, away from all the family and professional complications. Emily, can I ask you something? Michael said as they walked through the park on Sunday afternoon. Of course. Are you doing all this out of obligation? Because of your job? What do you mean? Making up this story, lying to my dad. You might feel pressured since I'm your boss's son. Emily stopped walking and looked into his eyes. Michael, if it were just about the job, I would have made up an excuse and gotten out of this situation. I'm here because I want to be. Are you sure? Absolutely. And you? Why are you here? Because ever since that wedding, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Because you made me realize I can be myself and still be accepted. Because when I'm with you, I feel like I've found something I didn't even know I was looking for. They kissed right there in the park, sealing not just the budding relationship, but also their decision to face whatever complications came their way, together. On Monday, lunch with Mr. Robert went more smoothly than they expected. He was so happy about reconciling with his son and the prospect of seeing him happy that he didn't ask many difficult questions. Michael, you didn't tell me you already knew Emily, Mr. Robert said during lunch. Dad, like I said, it was still very new. I wanted to be sure before saying anything. And now you're sure? Michael looked at Emily before answering. I am. That's wonderful. Emily is an exceptional person. She's worked with me for 8 years. Competent, loyal, smart. Dad, you're exaggerating. Michael laughed. I'm not. You're lucky to have found a woman like her. I really am, Michael agreed, looking affectionately at Emily. After lunch, Emily Parker's life settled into a new routine. She and Michael saw each other regularly, always careful not to show too much familiarity at work. Mr. Robert, on the other hand, was overjoyed with the new developments in his personal life. "Emily, can I ask you a favor?" he said one Thursday afternoon. "Of course, Mr. Robert. Help me organize a special dinner on Saturday. I want to celebrate this new chapter in Michael's life, and ours too, of course." "Ours? Well, you're part of the family now. At least, I hope you will be soon." Emily felt a pang of guilt. Mr. Robert was being so kind, and she was lying to him. "Mr. Robert, about me and Michael." "Yes? Things are still very new. We don't want to rush." "Of course, my dear. But let a father dream a little." The Saturday dinner took place at Mr. Robert's home, an elegant mansion in the Upper East Side. Emily was impressed by the luxury, but even more by the number of family photos scattered throughout the house. She could trace Michael's entire life from childhood, always beside his parents. "This is my wife, Catherine," Mr. Robert said, pointing to a photo of himself with a beautiful, elegant woman holding a young Michael. "She was very lovely," Emily remarked. "She was, and she had the same generous heart I see in you." "Mr. Robert, Emily, may I call you my daughter?" "Of course. My dear, I know you're just starting out, but I want you to know you're already very welcome in this family." Emily's eyes welled up. The man's kindness made her feel even worse about deceiving him. During dinner, Michael talked about his plans for cardiology, and Mr. Robert showed genuine interest. It was touching to see how they had reconciled. "Dad, I'm thinking about specializing abroad after graduation," Michael mentioned. "Great idea. Where were you considering?" "The US or France, they have excellent programs there." "And you, Emily, what do you think?" Emily was caught off guard. This was the first she'd heard of these plans. "I think it's important for Michael to pursue the best training possible," she replied diplomatically. "Have you two talked about this? How would it affect your relationship?" "Dad, we haven't gotten that far yet," Michael interjected. "Like Emily said, everything is still very new." Of course, but it's good to start planning for the future." After dinner, Michael gave Emily a tour of the house. In his room, she saw swimming trophies, medical books, and more family photos. "Michael, you never told me about specializing abroad." "Because I'm still not sure, and I didn't want to pressure you with long-term plans." "But is it a dream of yours?" "Yes, I've always wanted to study abroad, but now I have reasons to stay in Brazil." "What reasons?" "You." Emily's heart tightened. "Michael, you can't give up your dreams for me." "I'm not giving up. I'm rethinking priorities." "That's not fair to either of us." "Why not?" "Because if things don't work out between us, you'll regret it, and if they do, I'll feel guilty for derailing your plans." Michael kissed her softly. "Emily, some dreams change when we find better ones." "What if we went together?" "What do you mean?" "If you study abroad, I could go too. Work there, study. You'd do that?" "If we got to that point, yes." "But your job here, your mother—" "My mother wants me to be happy, and work can be found anywhere." Michael hugged her tightly. "You're amazing." "I'm not. I'm just in love with a stubborn doctor." In the weeks that followed, Emily and Michael's relationship deepened. They spent weekends together, had dinners during the week, and began talking about more serious plans. Emily introduced Michael formally to her mother, who was even more charmed than she had been at the wedding. "Sweetheart, this boy truly loves you," said Mrs. Barbara after the first official dinner. "I can see it in his eyes." "Mom, how can you be so sure?" "Because I know my daughter, and I see how you've changed since he came into your life. You're lighter, happier." "It's true. He's good for me. And you're good for him too." Aunt Susan mentioned she read in the paper that his father had been estranged from him, but now they've reconciled. Coincidence or not? Emily smiled. Her mother was more perceptive than she realized. "Maybe I helped a little." "That's love, my dear. When two people make each other better." A month after their first meeting at the cafe, according to the official version, Michael asked Emily to be his girlfriend officially. They were dining at a romantic restaurant when he knelt before her. "Emily Parker, will you officially be my girlfriend?" "Michael, everyone's watching," she whispered, laughing and crying at the same time. "Let them watch. I want everyone to know you're my girl." "Yes," she replied, standing up to kiss him. The whole restaurant applauded, and Emily felt like she was living a fairy tale. The next day, Mr. Robert arrived at the office with a smile that lasted all day. "Emily, my son told me the news. I'm so happy." "Thank you, Mr. Robert. And now that you're officially dating, how about we start planning the future?" "What do you mean?" "Well, marriage, grandchildren. An old man can dream, can't he?" "Mr. Robert, it's way too early for that." I know, but you're not kids anymore. You know what you want in life." Emily realized Mr. Robert was eager to expand his family. His wife's passing had left a void he hoped to fill with daughters-in-law and grandchildren. That night she mentioned it to Michael. "He's projecting onto us the family he lost when his mother died." "Could be. My dad's always been very family-oriented." "And how do you feel about that pressure?" "I don't see it as pressure, more like good expectations." "Michael, Emily, I love you." It was the first time he'd said it. Emily felt her heart stop. "I love you too." "Then why not consider a future together?" "I do, but we have a lie between us and your father. That bothers me." "The lie about how we met?" "Yes. What if he finds out one day?" "He won't. And even if he does, what matters is that we truly love each other now." "You're sure?" "Absolutely." 3 months into their official relationship, Emily and Michael were spending a Sunday at Mr. Roberts' house when he made an unexpected announcement. "Kids, I have news for you." "What news, Dad?" asked Michael. "I've decided to semi-retire. I want more time with family." "That's wonderful, Mr. Robert," said Emily. "And so, Michael, I'd like you to consider working part-time at the company while you finish school." "Dad, we've talked about this, not to take my place, but to learn about management. It could help when you open your own practice." Michael fell silent, considering the offer. "It's an interesting idea," he admitted. "And Emily, I'd like you to take over as administrative manager of the company." "Mr. Robert," Emily exclaimed, surprised. "You know the business better than anyone. You've deserved this promotion for years." "But it's a big responsibility." "You're ready, and with Michael's help you'd make the perfect team." Emily looked at Michael, who smiled proudly. "Do you accept?" he asked. "I do." "Perfect," said Mr. Robert, clapping. "Let's celebrate." That evening, Emily and Michael walked through the garden of the house, talking about the changes happening around them. "Don't you think everything is just too perfect?" Emily asked. "What do you mean?" "Your father accepts us, promotes us, plans our future. It feels like a fairy tale." "And what's wrong with that?" "I'm afraid it's too good to be true." Michael stopped walking and took her hands. "Emily, you deserve all the good things happening to you. You worked for years without recognition, and our love is real no matter how it started. I know, but sometimes I feel guilty for not telling your father the truth. Do you want to tell him?" "I don't know. I'm afraid of his reaction." "Look, if you think we should tell him, we can. Now, whenever you're ready." Emily took a deep breath. "Maybe it's better to leave the past in the past. What matters is the present." "I agree." 6 months later, Michael graduated from medical school with top honors. The graduation ceremony was emotional, with Mr. Robert crying proudly in the audience. Emily stood beside him, just as moved. "Emily, thank you," Mr. Robert whispered during the ceremony. "For what?" "For bringing my son back to me. For helping me understand that love means supporting the dreams of those we care about." "Mr. Robert, you've been an angel in our lives." Emily felt another pang of guilt but tried to focus on the joy of the moment. After graduation, Michael began working as a cardiology resident at Memorial Hospital while helping part-time at his father's company. Emily officially took over as administrative manager and discovered she had a real talent for the role. A year after they officially started dating, Michael proposed to Emily. It was on a Sunday afternoon at Mr. Roberts' house with all of Emily's family present. "Emily Parker," he said, kneeling with a ring in hand, "will you marry me?" "Yes," she shouted, before he could even finish. The engagement party was held on the anniversary of their first official date, according to the story they had created. Emily watched the happiness around her and tried not to think about the lie they were keeping. "Sweetheart," Mrs. Barbara said during the party, "I'm so proud of you." "Thank you, Mom. You found a man who values you, loves you, helps you grow, and most importantly, you make each other better." "That's true. And your story is so beautiful. Meeting by chance, falling in love for real." Emily forced a smile. If her mother knew the truth. Wedding preparations took 8 months. Emily chose a simple yet elegant dress, and they decided to marry at the church where Michael had been baptized. The ceremony would be small, just close family and friends. A week before the wedding, Emily was finalizing the last details when she got an unexpected call. "Emily, it's Jessica, your cousin." "Hi, Jess. How are you?" "Good. Listen, can I ask you something strange?" "Sure. At my wedding, your boyfriend, he was an escort, wasn't he?" Emily's blood ran cold. "What?" Don't panic. My friend Rachel was there at the wedding, remember?" She recognized him. Recognized him from where? "From the same app she used last year. She told me yesterday after seeing your engagement photo in the paper." Emily sat down, feeling dizzy. "Jessica, relax, cuz. I'm not judging you. I just want to know if you're okay." "What do you mean?" "Well, you hired an escort, ended up falling in love with him, and now you're getting married. It's like a romance movie." "Jessica, please, don't tell anyone." "Of course I won't." "But you really love each other, right? It's not just a professional. We really love each other, Jess. What happened at your wedding was work, but then it became real. How wonderful. I'm so happy for you both. Thank you, and thank you for not spreading this. I would never do that. Your secret is safe with me." After hanging up, Emily kept thinking, if her cousin had found out, others might too. She needed to tell Michael. That night, she told him everything. "My God," Michael said, "do you think anyone else knows?" "I don't know, but it worries me." "Emily, what if we tell my dad before the wedding? Now, with just a week left? It's better he hears it from us than finds out some other way." "What if he cancels the wedding?" "He won't. He loves us." "Michael, I'm scared." "Me too. But we can't start a marriage with this lie between us." "You're right. Let's tell him tomorrow after work." "Okay." The next morning, Emily could barely focus at work. Mr. Robert was excited about the final wedding preparations, which only made her feel worse. "Emily, are you all right?" he asked around 2 in the afternoon. "You've been very quiet today." "I'm fine. Just a little nervous about the wedding." "That's normal, dear. But don't worry. Everything will be fine." By late afternoon, Michael arrived at the office. Emily's stomach twisted. "Dad, can we talk? Emily and I have something important to tell you." "Of course. Let's go to my office." They sat in Mr. Roberts' office, and Emily noticed her hands were shaking. "Dad," Michael began, "before we get married, we want to be completely honest with you." "Honest about what?" "About how we met." Mr. Robert looked confused. "What do you mean? You met at a cafe?" "No, Dad, that's not the truth." "Then how did you meet?" Michael took a deep breath. "We met at Emily's cousin's wedding, but not by chance." "How then?" Emily gathered her courage. "Mr. Robert, I hired Michael as an escort through an app." The silence that followed was deafening. Mr. Robert stared at them, trying to process the information. "Are you joking with me?" "We're not," Michael said. "Emily needed an escort for the wedding, and I needed money for college. It was a professional arrangement." "And you've been lying to me all this time?" "Dad, let me explain." "No." Mr. Robert stood up, visibly shaken. "You deceived me, made up that cafe story, made a fool out of me." "Mr. Robert, please," Emily tried. "Emily, you, the person I trust most in the world, how could you lie to me like this?" "I'm so sorry, but what I feel for Michael is real." "How can I believe you now? How do I know anything between you is true?" Michael stepped closer to his father. "Dad, I understand your anger, but our love is real. What started as work turned into something genuine. Michael, you were prostituting yourself. It wasn't prostitution. It was social escorting. It doesn't matter what you call it. You were selling your company. Emily began to cry. Mr. Robert, we truly love each other. The wedding isn't happening because of money. How can I be sure? He shouted. You lied to me for an entire year. Because we were afraid of how you'd react, Michael said. And you were right to be afraid. I can't accept this. Dad, Michael, I want you out of the company. And Emily, you're fired. Mr. Robert, Emily stood up, shocked. I want you both out of my sight. I need to think. Dad, don't do this. Don't let pride destroy our family. Family? Mr. Robert laughed bitterly. What family? You've treated me like a stranger all this time. Emily and Michael left the office in silence. In the parking lot, she broke down in tears. Michael, we've ruined everything. No, we haven't. He'll calm down. He won't. You saw how he was. We lost our jobs. We lost his trust. Emily, breathe. Let's give him some time to process everything. And the wedding? We're keeping it. With or without his blessing. Your whole family will be there. How do we explain it? We'll tell the truth. Michael, I can't marry you knowing your father hates us. He doesn't hate us. He's disappointed, hurt, but he doesn't hate us. That night, they both called Mr. Robert several times, but he wouldn't answer. Emily barely slept, thinking about how she'd destroyed the trust of the man who had treated her like a daughter. The next day, Mrs. Barbara called Emily, worried. Sweetheart, what happened? Michael's father called here last night, very upset. What did he say? That you'd lied to him, that the wedding was cancelled. Emily, what did you do? Mom, it's a long story. Tell me. Emily told her mother everything, from the app to the confession the day before. My God, Emily, why didn't you tell the truth from the start? Because we were scared, Mom, scared of being judged. And now? Now we've lost everything. Sweetheart, are your feelings real? Yes, Mom. I love Michael more than anything. Then don't give up. Fight for your love. All week, Emily and Michael tried to reach Mr. Robert, but without success. He'd changed the office locks and hired a temporary secretary. On the eve of the wedding, Michael made a drastic decision. Emily, I'm going to my father's house. He won't see you. I'll stay at the door until he does. Michael, Emily, I can't marry you tomorrow without trying one more time. He's my father, the only family I have left. I'll go with you. No, let me go alone first. Michael went to his father's house and rang the bell. No answer. He sat on the porch and waited. 2 hours later, Mr. Robert arrived by car. When he saw Michael on the porch, his expression hardened. What are you doing here? Waiting for you to give me a chance to explain. There's nothing to explain. Yes, there is, Dad. There's so much. Mr. Robert hesitated, but finally opened the door. 5 minutes. They entered the living room where they'd shared so many happy dinners. Dad, I know we messed up. I know we should have told the truth from the beginning. You should have. But I want you to understand why we did it. Why did you lie to me? Because we were afraid of losing what we'd built. You, me, and Emily became a family, and we knew the truth could destroy that. And it did. It doesn't have to, Dad. What I feel for Emily is real. What she feels for me is real. The love we both have for you is real. How can I trust you again? Because we're here, because we came to tell the truth even though we knew we could lose everything. Mr. Robert was silent for a long time. Michael, were you doing this job out of necessity or choice? Necessity, Dad. You cut me off, remember? I needed to survive. And Emily? Why did she hire an escort? Because she was tired of going to family events alone, tired of the pitying looks. And you two really fell in love? The first night, it was unexplainable, but it happened. Why didn't you tell me the next Monday? Because you were so happy wanting to introduce us. We were afraid to ruin that joy. Mr. Robert sighed deeply. Michael, you hurt me deeply. I know, Dad, and I'm so sorry. But, he hesitated. Seeing you two together all this time, it was impossible not to see that the love was real. It was real, Dad. It is real. And Emily, how is she? destroyed. She thinks she lost the father she never had. Mr. Robert's eyes filled with tears. She's like a daughter to me, and you're like a father to her. Michael, the wedding is tomorrow. It is. But we won't do it if you don't give us your blessing. You'd really do that? Cancel the wedding? We would. Because you're more important than any ceremony. Mr. Robert stood up and walked to the window. I don't know, Michael, your mother always said true love can come from the most unlikely situations. She used to say that. She did. And you two are proof of it. Dad. Michael, I forgive you. I forgive you and Emily. Really? Really? You made mistakes, but your love is real, and that's what matters. Michael hugged his father, and both of them cried. Dad, will you come to the wedding? I will. But on one condition. What? I want to be the one to walk Emily down the aisle. What do you mean? Her father passed away when she was a child. It would be an honor to give her away to you. Dad, she'll be so moved. Then let's go talk to her. They went together to Emily's apartment. When she opened the door and saw Mr. Robert, she burst into tears. Mr. Robert, forgive me. I already have, my dear. I already have. He hugged her like a father hugs his daughter. Emily, can I ask you something? Anything. Will you let me walk you down the aisle tomorrow? Emily looked at him in disbelief. Really? Really? It would be an honor. It would be an honor for me. On the morning of the wedding, Emily was getting ready when Mr. Robert arrived to pick her up. You look beautiful, my dear. Thank you, Dad. Dad, if you'll let me call you that, I will. And it makes me very happy. Dad, thank you for forgiving us. Thank you for having the courage to tell the truth. The ceremony was emotional. When Mr. Robert walked Emily down the aisle to Michael, there wasn't a dry eye in the church. During their vows, they spoke about how true love can come from the most unexpected places. At the reception, Mr. Robert gave a heartfelt speech. My dearest, today we celebrate not just a wedding, but a lesson. The lesson that true love overcomes any obstacle, any prejudice, any fear. Michael and Emily have taught us that it doesn't matter how love begins, but how it grows and strengthens. Everyone applauded, moved by his words. And now, he continued, I want to announce that my daughter Emily and my son Michael will be the new directors of the company, because I believe that together they can build not just a life, but a legacy. Emily and Michael kissed as everyone cheered. 2 years later, they welcomed their first daughter, Catherine, named after Michael's mother. Mr. Robert became the most devoted and present grandfather one could imagine. Did you know, he said one day, rocking his granddaughter, this story started with a lie, but it became the greatest truth of our lives. What do you mean, Dad? Emily asked. You lied about how you met, but you ended up teaching me the greatest truth of all, that true love can blossom anywhere, at any time, and when it's real, nothing can destroy it. Michael held Emily's hand. And that sometimes, the greatest blessings in life come disguised as the biggest risks we take. Do you know the most beautiful part of this whole story? Mr. Robert asked. What? They both asked. If you hadn't had the courage to tell the truth before the wedding, I probably would have found out later, and it would have been much worse. Your bravery in being honest is what saved our family. We didn't think of that, Emily said. It's because you're people of character, people who'd rather face the consequences of the truth than live in lies. That night, Emily and Michael talked in their room while little Catherine slept. Do you regret anything? Michael asked. Downloading that app? Never, it brought me to you. And I don't regret taking that job, it brought me my family. Our story is pretty crazy, isn't it? It is, but it's ours. Michael, yes? If you were to write a title for our story, what would it be? The secretary who hired an escort and found a family. I like that, but I'd write it differently. How? The secretary who hired a guy for a wedding and discovered he was her boss's son, and the love of her life. They laughed and kissed, knowing that no matter how the story had begun, the ending was being written every day, with love, truth, and happiness. The end of the story. So, what did you think of this unlikely love story? Sometimes fate plays the most incredible tricks on us, doesn't it? Tell us in the comments. Do you believe true love can blossom from any situation? Have you ever experienced a wild coincidence in your own life? We love reading your stories. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming tales like this.